I was just taking a quick look at this new Audi A6. This is the regular A6 that you've always known and loved, the ICE version. They just changed the number system on this thing like yesterday, didn't they? They were doing where it was going to be like even numbers were going to be EVs. Well, people didn't like that. They were confused. So, yeah, so now A6 is the A6. It's a regular A6. And, you might be looking at these pictures thinking, actually, this doesn't look like an A6. It looks more like an A8 because it's so long. But it is the A6. It is A6. Of course, all these new cars, they keep getting bigger and bigger. But there's actually a reason here, too, that it looks so long, is they say this is the most aerodynamic ICE Audi they've ever made. Well, that's a bad drawing, but the airflow would be it'd be a lot smoother than that, wouldn't it? So, of course, anytime you can have a longer car, you're going to have a more aerodynamic car. That's why, like, you ever see these people that drive those little smart cars on the freeway? It's not very smart. It's not very smart, is it? So, yeah, you want a nice long saloon if you're going to be doing some high-speed travel, right? So, yeah, that's kind of, why they've gone this route. Now, there's some nice details here, some nice changes from, again, the more recent Audis. Now, it's not all good news. Wait till we get to the interior. It's not all good news, but on the outside here, yeah, there's a lot of good stuff. Number one is they moved all the radar sensors down here to the lower bumper, right? This is the best place. For some reason, and not just Audi, but all the German companies, they struggled with this, right? They always had it up high. Like Audi actually had it look like a police package or something on it, right? And that actually wasn't even the worst. Like BMW, basically BMW made their entire front kidney grille like sensors and the front camera, right? It had nothing to do with an actual grille. It looked like a disaster. And Bentley, right? They put like that big pimple right there, right? Like they couldn't figure out a better place to put it. So yeah, finally we get it, where you don't see it and don't notice it as much down at the lower area. And then these new, the air curtains. This is an aerodynamic aid, yes, but it's kind of interesting. It is a different color. It is a contrasting color, but it doesn't have that big bold outline like the 4 Series and stuff like that. The A4. It's kind of like that more, right? So a lot of people didn't like. Now, of course, you could black that out. But yeah, this is probably just a better solution just to have the actual piece. What is it, like a dark gray or something, right? It's not you're not trying to draw too much attention to it. And another change that I like is with the badge, right? The Audi rings. You can see that they've made them a little bit more pronounced, especially up here, how it kind of meets the top of the bumper there. It's kind of, my stylus isn't working right, so that's why we're getting these bad drawings, but you can kind of see what I'm talking about. It's more emphasized, isn't it? So that was where, too, like the rings were kind of getting lost in the front grille of some of the more recent Audis, especially if you went for the blackout package, which really just almost made them invisible, right? I don't know why you would even want to do that. So yeah, I like that. And what's really nice is on the rear end, Audi dumped a ton of images for this new A6, and they all show the classic traditional chrome rings on the back. Thank goodness, because that was the thing where Audi started doing that light up ring, right? It's so tacky and cheap, and it doesn't look good at all. I mean, even if it wasn't lit up, because it just looked like cheap plastic. So yeah, now we get, the classic, really brings back the kind of more elegant, upscale look that Audis used to be known for, right? And now something else that I really like is down here, instead of doing this like fake, I was going to say I actually was drawing that pretty good there. I'm using a mouse. Instead of having the fake mesh on the rear, which didn't make any sense, you know, this part down here is what I was talking about. It's got this like three-dimensional geometric pattern to it, doesn't it? Actually, it looks pretty cool. You can see that. It's a whole bunch of different, yeah, shapes and stuff, triangles, hexagons, whatever, in there. So yeah, that's kind of a different solution, and it does, you know, give some visual interest without it being too fake. And then of course, you know, the one change that Audi did make in these latest generation cars, which was good from the beginning, is, yeah, if you get an ICE Audi, you get real exhaust tips. So no fake tips either. So really cool. Now the one thing you might be looking at here and thinking, well, you know, like, what are these? These look like some kind of fake vents hanging below the taillights. Well, guess what? They're actually not. They're not fake. They're not vents. They're not vents either. It's the reverse lights. Look at this. It's like they designed them to look like vents, you know, with these streaks kind of going through them. So I don't know. And it's kind of, especially on like cars, like kind of reminds me of like the Corvette, right? So how it kind of dropped down like that with the vents. But yeah, actually, since it's not fake, I actually kind of like it. And it is different. You know, it's unique. They're trying something different here, which is actually big news from the Audi design department, right? I mean, they were like the worst offenders, right? They have the same design almost every year on every car, just a different size, right? So this is cool to actually try something new. You know, the question is, how's it going to look on, you know, all these press photos, it's a dark blue. So how's it going to look on like a white car, or silver car? You know, that's what we'll have to see. But again, I'm glad that, you know, hey, at least they tried something new here. And, you know, it's cool that they have the light bar. Well, look at that. That was a good one. Completely separate from the taillights, right? The taillight is actually a separate piece up here. So again, yeah, it does look like an all new car. You know, whether you like it or not, I think it looks good. And of course, with all designs, you know, people will warm up to it. So yeah, the front, the back, everything is looking good here. The only thing I guess I'd say I'm not too crazy about still is, you know, Audi, they have these matrix LED style daytime running lights where you can kind of customize this pattern. But to me, it just always looks, doesn't it look like there's just some of them that are burnt out? Like, what about these? You know what I mean? Like, it looks like it's already broken. You know, of course you can choose from different patterns and stuff, but still, I don't think it works too well. I think they should have just stuck to one design and just had it clearly be like, you know, that's the design. That's the design you get. And, you know, so I guess, I don't know, some people like to customize this stuff. You can do it on the rear end as well. Here, you know, here's one pattern, here's another. I think I just like the cleaner, simple, you know, line better. So, but at least, I guess on the rear, you don't notice that there's pixels missing as much because the lens is tinted red, right? So yeah, let me know what you guys think about that. But I think overall, the exterior is good here. You know, what's not good, the whole interior here is horrible. I'm not an advocate for, you know, saying people should get fired, but whoever was in charge of this, and it's not just the A6 here, right? I mean, this is like all the new Audis. Whoever was in charge of the design theme, the philosophy for Audi's new interiors, they should be canned ASAP, right? I mean, this is horrible. First of all, you get all these screens. There's nothing luxurious about having screens everywhere. What happened to like nice materials, right? And then these ones have like this weird shape to it as well. I mean, this is like an 11-inch rectangle. This is like a 14-inch rectangle. But then they made it like this weird shape like GM's doing, right? This is the same kind of design. This whole dashboard looks like it's straight out of a Chevrolet, doesn't it? And then they're like, well, this is a new trend. Let's put a, you know, this weird shaped passenger display down over here. Just throw that on there. And by the way, you know, you probably know if you don't select this passenger display, you just get a blank plate that's oddly shaped. And then how about a ton of piano black plastic that everybody hates? You know, hey, we know everybody hates this. Let's put it everywhere. You know, there's going to be smudges, fingerprints, dust. You know, you have to wipe this thing off like Basically, every time you drive the car, you're gonna have to wipe that off if you want to keep it looking good, right? How about the physical climate controls that everybody's been asking for? You know, how about some big round knobs? You know, things that you can grab and control easily without looking, even if you have gloves on. No, no, you got to hit this little button right there. You got to put your finger right there on that one little spot on the screen. You got this huge 14-inch screen, and the place you got to adjust the climate controls is like literally 1 millimeter. Good luck, hey, good luck doing that.